The rain in Sector 12 didn't just wash away the grime, it tasted like rust and battery acid. Down here, in the iron graveyard, the sky was blocked by the massive, cantilevered foundations of the upper city, leaving us in a permanent twilight of flickering neon and shadow. This was the place where the Dominion sent its broken machines to die. But today the scrap heaps were moving. The corporate lords had grown tired of the dissent festering in the slums, and they had sent their peacekeepers to finish the job. These weren't soldiers, they were Atlas Titans, 50-meter-tall monuments to corporate arrogance, plated in pristine white and gold chrome and armed with enough energy weaponry to glass a continent. They marched through our streets, their footsteps shattering the concrete, their blue optical sensors scanning the shadows for the biological inefficiencies. They were ordered to purge. They believed that because we lived in the dirt, we were part of the trash. They assumed that our scrap Mechs, the jury-rigged industrial loaders we called our homes, would crumble under the first pulse of their ion cannons. They thought the disparity in technology was a death sentence. They assumed that because their Titans were built in zero-G labs and powered by antimatter cores, our ancient diesel fusion engines and hydraulic pistons were obsolete. They believed that the clean would always conquer the gritty. They were catastrophically wrong. They forgot that while an energy shield can deflect a laser, it struggles to stop a 10-ton block of solid, accelerated iron. They forgot that in the tight, vertical canyons of the iron graveyard, size is a liability, and maneuverability is king. If the corporate Titans wanted to treat our home like a junkyard, we decided to show them exactly how dangerous the junk could be. We created the Leverage Point Protocol. And we birthed the 8th Guerrilla Mech Division, the Titan Breakers. We don't use energy shields. We use 3-inch thick plates of reactive lead and scavenged tank hull. We don't use lasers. We use kinetic pile drivers, massive, steam-powered rams designed for asteroid mining, repurposed to deliver millions of tons of force into a single point of impact. Our Mechs, the breaker frames, are loud, they vent black smoke, and they vibrate so hard they loosen the teeth of their pilots. We don't have targeting computers. We have iron sights and a neural link that smells like ozone and burning oil. We are the only warriors in the galaxy who fight a war by turning the enemy's weight against them. We are the Titan Breakers, and we're about to bring the giants down to our level. I am Elias Cinder Vane. My cockpit is currently a humid hell of copper pipes and clanking gears, and my left hydraulic arm is leaking enough fluid to fill a swimming pool. But I've got my sights locked on the lead Titan, the Aegis one, and I'm about to break its stride. The ambush started with the sound of 1,000 chains snapping. We had hidden our breaker frames beneath the massive piles of scrap metal that lined the main transit artery of Sector 12. As the Aegis one stepped into the kill zone, we blew the magnetic anchors. Carrigoam. 10,000 tons of rusted steel girders and crushed cars cascaded down the hillside, burying the Titan's feet in a mountain of jagged debris. The giant stumbled, its blue sensors flashing a frantic warning as its stabilization gyros fought to maintain balance. Hit the joints. Don't let it reset. I roared over the analog radio link. Breaker 2 Sarah, moving in on the flank. My pile driver is at full pressure, Cinder. I'm going for the ankle actuators. Breaker 3 Jax, covering the upper deck. I'm launching the grapnel lines to pin its arms. I slammed my foot into the throttle. My breaker frame, the Ironmonger, let out a mechanical scream as the diesel fusion engine kicked into overdrive. Black smoke billowed from the exhaust stacks, filling the rain-slicked street with a thick, acrid fog. I charged the Aegis one. The Titan saw me. Its right arm, a sleek cylinder of white chrome, rotated toward me. The blue glow of an ion cannon began to build in the palm. Shield up. I tilted the Munger's heavy lead shield forward. The ion pulse hit the metal with a sound like a lightning strike. The reactive plating exploded outward, neutralizing the energy of the blast, but the force of the impact nearly threw me out of my seat. The cockpit temperature spiked to 50 degrees. My turn, you shiny bastard. I dived beneath the Titan's reach. At this range, its primary cannons were too long to aim. I was inside the blind spot. I braced my legs against the concrete, the Munger's hydraulic claws digging deep into the ground. I leveled my primary weapon, the sledgehammer piledriver. I didn't pull a trigger, I released a valve. Wham! The tungsten-tipped ram slammed into the Titan's left knee with the force of a falling building. The sound was a deafening metallic crack that echoed through the canyons of Sector 12. The Aegis one's energy shield flared violet and then shattered, unable to process the physical momentum. The white chrome of the leg buckled, the internal servos shrieking as they were crushed into scrap. Timber. Sarah hit the other leg. Jax's grapnel lines, thick cables of woven carbon nanotubes, snared the Titan's arms and anchored them to the foundations of a nearby skyscraper. The giant was pinned. It roared, a digital, synthesized sound of pure electronic rage, as it fired its secondary lasers into the scrap piles, turning the metal into molten slag. He's falling. Pull the lines. The Aegis One tilted. The stabilization gyros, overloaded and damaged, finally gave up. The 50-meter giant fell. It didn't fall gracefully. It hit the ground with the force of a localized earthquake, shattering the concrete and sending a shockwave that leveled 2 nearby warehouses. A cloud of dust and steam rose from the impact site, glowing with the orange light of the Titan's ruptured antimatter core. Finish the core before it goes critical. I marched the Munger over the wreckage of the giant. The Aegis One was trying to crawl, its beautiful white plates now scarred, blackened, and covered in the mud of the iron graveyard. I raised my piledriver one last time, positioning it directly over the glowing blue heart plate on the Titan's chest. You should have stayed in the clouds. I triggered the ram. The final strike didn't just break the armor, it pierced the core. A brilliant flash of blue light illuminated the entire sector, followed by a long, dying whine of collapsing magnetic fields. The light in the Titan's optical sensors faded. The humming of its engines stopped. The giant was dead. I stood in the center of the graveyard, my breaker frame hissing and venting steam as the adrenaline began to fade. I pulled back the manual hatch, the cold, chemical rain hitting my face. I looked out at the wreckage of the invincible machine. It was just metal now. It was just more scrap for the piles. Sarah and Jax pulled their Mechs alongside mine, their rusted frames looking like battered kings in the neon light. Across the sector, the other Titans were retreating, their hive mind realizing that the iron graveyard was no longer a slaughterhouse for the weak, it was a trap for the arrogant. Sarah. Jax, report, I rasped, my throat feeling like I had swallowed a handful of gravel. I'm here, Cinder. My piledriver is jammed and my left leg is dragging, but the sector is clear. The giant is down. Jax here. My grapnels are spent, but I've got the corporate codes from the Titan's black box. We've got the keys to the upper city, boss. I looked up at the heights of the upper city, the golden spires glowing in the distance. They thought they could throw us away. They thought we were the waste. But tonight the trash had fought back. The Titan breakers had proven that no matter how much chrome you wrap yourself in, you're still made of things that can be broken. I slung my piledriver over my shoulder and turned the Munger toward the hidden repairs bay. The rain was still falling, the neon was still flickering, and the war for the neon frontier was still raging. But for tonight, the scrap heap was silent. The giants had fallen and the dirt was our own once more. The chrome is shattered. The hydraulics are still. The giant has been recycled into the mud of Sector 12.